Hi guys, today I'm reading a book called The Girl in the Lake for 100 sub special. Thank you guys again. Anyways, we're reading 1 to 2 chapters, I think. And yeah, I hope y'all like it. Wait, but just need to tell you that my voice sounds crap and I have speech and I can't really read that well. But other than that, yeah, let's go on to it. The Girl in the Lake. Chapter 1. Every time Grandma Judy or Granddad Jim called, whether it was to wish us happy birthday or Merry Christmas or just to talk with Mama, they'll always make us promise to come visit their lake house. Next summer is finally here. Just a couple of weeks after I failed my last swimming lesson. I don't think that's a coincidence either. Grandma Judy and Granddad Jim are huge on everyone in our family loving the water and learning how to swim. So, of course, when I failed my swimming lessons and decided I won't be swimming again, it's the summer we'll actually visit the lake house. You can't fail a swimming lesson. So I don't know. My dad tells me after I failed it. Well, apparently you can. But as a dad, he's supposed to say that. My brother Owen learned really fast, and he's 10 and I'm 12. But at the end of my last lesson, I still didn't know how to swim, which seems like failing to me. I told my dad afterward that I didn't want to swim anymore, but I should have known better than to say that. You know how important swimming is to our family, Mama said. Her dad, Granddad Jim, was a lifeguard. Mama says God, jeez. Mama said she's been swimming for so long she doesn't even remember learning. Dad was afraid of swimming until he married Mama, when she convinced him to finally learn, so I thought he understand how hard it was. But instead he says, if I can learn, you can learn. I think I get my swimming genes from Dad, because every time my instructor, Stinky Breath Jared, told me to jump into his arms, I freeze up. Eventually, he get annoyed. I didn't like Jared with the stinky breath. He sighed way too many times when I wasn't brave enough to jump into his arms in the swimming pool, like I was taking too long. But I didn't get it. For the next 40 minutes, he didn't have anywhere else to be. Why was he rushing me? He pronounced my name wrong too. He would always say it like Chelsea. I might say that too. Until I worked up the nerve to correct him. It's Chelsea. Oh, that's your name, I think. I finally told him, staring at my reflection in the rippling blue water. Just come on, he said. I could tell he was getting annoyed. You can do it. It's not that hard. I didn't have the guts to tell him that it was that hard for me. I wanted to tell him that my name wasn't that hard to pronounce either, but he kept messing that up. And I never jumped in a body of water before. I wanted to tell him that since he seemed so annoyed with me, I didn't trust him to catch me if I messed up. So I didn't say anything. Just forget it, I thought to myself. I wouldn't move an inch closer to the water. I just stood there, smiling uh, smelling the chlorine. One time I heard someone giggle, and it was a toddler. She had a swimsuit that was to look like a strawberry. She was laughing at me. Then she jumped in her own daddy's arms in the pool without a care in the world. After the last lesson, I suggested that my daddy teach me how to swim instead. I'll feel way more comfortable jumping into his arms than stinky breath Jared's. Or Mama's, since she's so good at it. Granddad will teach you, she said. Then she stopped herself and says, Granddad can teach you. After she said this, she asked Owen and me how we feel about spending this week with our grandparents and cousins. And that lets me know that the whole reason we're going to the lake house this summer. Remember, kids, to take deep breaths. Now I'm in the car with my mom, my dad, and Owen. On the way there, it used to be a place where my mom and her brothers and sisters would play and swim all summer long with our grandparents. Then, when my grandparents stopped working, they moved there full time. I love our grandparents, but since we moved a little farther away, we don't see them as much. Our cousins will be there too. They're all from different states, and I haven't seen them in a couple of years. I just remember Cooper being bossy and Daisy being quiet. Owen must realize we're getting closer because he finally stopped telling us every single fact he knows about trees, lakes, and hiking trails, and just stares at the window. If Grandpa and Granddad were going to make me swim, then they were probably going to make on hike too. My brain cell brother is usually totally logically. What did I just say? Anyways, but for some reason, hiking is the one thing he's really afraid of. I don't blame him. Our car bounces up and down on a dirt road. The trees closing in one at either side of us. I never knew a road can be so bumpy. We pass a town library, a small grocery store, and then pretty soon I don't see much of anything except for houses and some now and then. We're here, Mama says. She turns around and smiles at me and Owen in the back seat. I will try to return her smile. Mama always talks about how she and her brothers, sisters, my aunts and uncles loved to come here and swim when they were younger. I guess she thinks it's going to be the same with me and my cousins. We pull up to a big white house with black shutters. I can see the lake peeking out from behind the house, sparkling in the sun. It's a beautiful setting, but seeing the water makes my stomach flip. There's a window at the very top of the house. I guess it's the attic. As I'm looking, I see something shine from the attic window, like a shadow with a really bright outline. What is that? I wonder. It's probably just the sunlight glancing off the glass. There's Grandma and Granddad. Mom explains happily. And there are your cousins. She points to the group of people clustered near the door. They can't wait to see you and look at my brothers and sisters. Let's go and say hello. We step out of the car and search the acnes out of all Agnes knees out of all limbs. Even with the cold breeze coming from the lake, it's definitely hotter here than it is back at home. Mama can't hide her grin, and as she and Daddy walk over to my aunts and uncles. I see my Uncle Herod getting bags out of a car parked right in front of ours. So I guess my cousin's is just getting here too. My eyes led on. Why is her name like that? Her legs are twice as long as they were last time. I saw her in the muscles in her calves and twice as big. I know her 16th birthday is coming up this fall. She'll probably be taller than Uncle Herod next year. She does not look like someone who can't wait to see me. She walks from behind Uncle Herod's car in some slotchy jean shorts that are just the right color blue. Have the right amount of hips, aren't too tight, too loose, or too long. Her braids hang down her back, and she's wearing gold hoop earrings. The really big ones that Mama won't let me wear yet. She's busy doing something on her phone. Then I see her suck her teeth. Probably when she realized there is no cell phone service out here. I already realized that in the car. Then there's my cousin, Daisy. She is standing beside my Aunt Marlene and Uncle Steve wearing a white sundress with big red polka dots on it. She had an old-timer look, like she just stepped out of a black and white film. She always has, especially in her baby pictures. When she stared into the camera with her big round eyes, she has fluffy, bouncy curls and perfect posture, and thinks straight ahead as she walks, not down. Almost like she's floating through the air. I could bet money no one ever told her to sit up straight. She's kind of old-fashioned. She looks record player. She likes record players and stuff. Sometimes my dad would joke and say, "She seems like she's been here before," whatever that means. Owen and I walk over to them. Daisy looks up, her hair flowing in the wind. "Hello," she says. She is 11, a year younger than me. She sounds so formal, like we're our cousins. We used to play together a lot when we were little, but maybe that's just her personality. "Hi," Owen and I say in unison, but okay. She stares at us, taking us in. Her eyes feel like they're looking straight through me, like she can tell what I'm feeling. Owen and Castle have grown a whole foot since I seen them. Uncle Herod's voice blooms over ours as he laughs. He looks and sounds just like Granddad, haven't they? And look at Combs' long legs. They will definitely get the whole hard thrown height. That's for sure," Mama says, laughing as she hugs her brother. "I've heard you learn how to swim, Owen." Howard slaps Owen on the back as Howard slaps Owen on the back as a sign of congratulations. Owen smiles a little. Glancing at me before he says, "Yeah, don't worry, Krista. Between that beautiful lake and that part up the road, you'll be swimming in no time. Maybe Cooler can drive you." Mama clears her throat and Cobra glares at her. Uh, and Cobra glares at her dad. Then she glares at me. What did I do? Uncle Herod is sweating as he said something he shouldn't say. Or maybe he's sweating because it's so hot out here. Daisy, I love your dress, my mom says, trying to change the subject. Thank you, she says. She does a crusty, she does a crusty like a girl out of a fairy tale book. Okay, I cannot pronounce the name. And pronounce the name scarves while Owen and I look at each other. Who does that? This girl, straight out of the past. Aunt Marilyn says she gives Daisy's shoulders a squeeze. We stand there as our parents talk and laugh with our aunt and uncles for a while when they say their goodbyes. Have the best time, Mama says, giving Owen and then me a huge hug. She and Dad look gently sad to go. Maybe they should stay here and us kids should go back to our houses, since they have so much fun here. My girl, call me if you need anything, Dad says. He winks and somehow I knew he's talking about swimming, so I think he gets it. But it's not that I'm afraid of swimming exactly. At first it sounded fun, but my swimming instructor made it kind of difficult for me. And now I just don't care anymore. And maybe he was right. It wasn't that hard and I was being silly. And not to mention, right after failing, I had a nightmare about falling into a deep body of water. It felt so real, and now I'm definitely not in a rush to learn how to swim. Okay, I say, hugging him too. The name I cannot pronounce. Walks over to us, a squirrel on her face. Daisy, Owen, and I say hi to her, but she just waves us off. I sigh. I don't want to have to deal with her attitude all week. I always thought the name I cannot pronounce was pretty bossy. Anyway, I don't get it. When I'm at home, I'm the oldest and I don't boss Owen around at all. We wave as the grown-ups pile into their cars and then disappear, one by one, until all that's left is an old Ford pickup truck and a Jeep, Grandma and Granddad's cars. I peek around the back of the house to the wide green backyard. The trees have branches that hang really low and create long shadows across the grass. They back they back into a wooded area that looks worn down with tire tracks. I wonder if Granddad drives through there to get to town. I wonder if that's where Grandma and Granddad hike. I wonder what's back there. I look around some more. I see the deck that leads to the lake. I can't help but to admit myself that the lake is beautiful. With its deep blue and the glitter from the sun, but it's so big, it overwhelms me. It's at least 10 times bigger than the pool. Will Granddad make me jump in the lake? I hope not. It's pretty to look at, but the thought of jumping in makes me feel dizzy. Owen, in the name I cannot pronounce, Daisy and I stand in awkward silence, staring in the house, the sparkling lake behind it. Come on in, Grandpa says. She has a wide smile and a nose like Mom. We walk into the house and it's like all the hot air inside is packed into it. My forehead is still sweaty from standing outside. The house smells different from our house. It makes a lot of noise too. Lots of creaks, groans. As soon as I walk in, the house says that the house sighs really loudly. It almost sounds like a voice saying hi. We all stare at the ceiling. Grandma must see our expressions because she tells us that it's just a house settling in, whatever that means. All of your rooms are upstairs, Grandma says. You can choose the ones you want to unpack and then come downstairs for supper. I already knew which one I want, the one with the best view of the lake. Just because I didn't want to swim in it doesn't mean I don't want to draw the view. I went upstairs into the room on the far left, eager to get the one with the biggest balcony before the name I cannot pronounce does. The sun is setting just outside my window. The big oak tree casting a shadow that looks like a big hand over the room. The floor creaks when I step inside, like the rest of the house. The bed looks comfortable, though, and there is a huge, colorful quilt on the bed. The only things in here are a nightstand, a lamp, a dresser, the bed, and the quilt. I decided to put some things around the room to make it more feel like home since it will be my home for the next week. I put a picture that my friends and I took at my friend Ayla's summer slumber party on the dresser, with my sketch pad and colored pencils right beside it. I tried Aaron's and I tried the about I tried Ayla's about Stinky Breath Jared and how he made me feel. She told me that I shouldn't told him right. She told me that I should have told him right then and there. You should have told him just like this, she said, standing up with her bended braids clicking together. First of all, my name is Krista. I never swim before, and that's why it's hard. Duh. And your stink breath, it isn't making it easier. Stop acting annoyed with me and be patient. And then and then when you did jump in, you could have splashed him. She giggled. She giggled at the last part. I just laughed and shook my head. I'm not like Eris. Sometimes it's hard for me to say what I feel. I unroll my pictures of Simon Mo, the Olympic gold medalist swimmer, and stick it on the wall with a roll of tape I found at the bottom of my bag. I hope she will inspire me to gather up the nerve to at least jump in the pool this summer. I look around the room and try to get used to it. Even though it's still so old, it feels new to me. And quiet and hot. The room air is so thick, it makes the room feel crowded, like someone is in here with me. I look around twice. Even though I know I'm the only person here, I open a window to let some air in. I hear a knock on the door. It's time for dinner, someone says, and then I hear feet running away. The voice is strangely old-fashioned. Daisy, I guess. Coming, I call. I go back into the hallway. The floor is still creaking under my feet. The door slams behind me. I jump. Then I remember I left the window open. Sometimes at home when I leave a window open, my bedroom door slams too. I hear low giggling behind one of the doors and stop for a second to listen. It's probably Daisy again, or maybe the name I cannot pronounce. Got her phone to work. I shook my head. I kept stopping and looking around at random things. I just need to let myself get used to this house and new to be bedroom. I walk downstairs. When I reach the door to the kitchen, I see everyone in the house. It's already I see everyone in the house is already sitting at the diner table, settled in. That's weird, I think. Then who's upstairs laughing? I guess it's just more creaking noise from this old lake house. Oh, Krista, that's funny. I thought you were already down here. Grandma frowns her brows together, looking around at the dino table as if she sees me sitting right there. Me too, says Daisy. She looks at the same empty seat that Grandma looks at. I was upstairs, starting to unpack, I say, sitting in the chair between Daisy and Owen. I look at Daisy. I thought, but I didn't finish because Grandma in Grandma is placing the last dish on the table. Grandma looks around at us and smiles. Who's hungry? I made a big dinner and a picture of fresh lemonade for us to enjoy. My stomach growls in response. I hold I hold Daisy's and Owen's hands as Granddad leads grace. After we say amen, I help myself to the dinner spread around the table and try to decide what to start with. I pick up an ear. I pick up an ear of sweet corn and bite into it. The name I cannot pronounce. I hear congratulations are in order. Granddad says twinkle in a twinkle in his eye. The name I cannot pronounce. Looks up. Her frown replaced by surprise. Your father told me you're the new track team captain. Thanks. She smiles, but then frowns again, like she remembered something. She goes back to eating her food. Y'all eat up and sleep good tonight, Granddad says, looking around the table as he is super tall with a big, booming voice and gray head. I haven't seen that smile in a... Wait. I haven't seen that smile in a little while, but I missed it. There's so much for us to do this week. Like what? The name I cannot pronounce grumbles. Her phone is laying beside her on the table, untouched. I guess she gave up on the trying to get cell service. There's no Wi-Fi here. Either either. Why all types of things, Granddad says, open his arms wide, his voice getting loud across the table. For starters, we have a lake, good for boating and swimming. He looks at me and winks. I smile back and put my head down, a little embarrassed. I know I'm the only one person at the table who can't swim. I just know that Mama set this trip up so I can learn. Owen clears his throat. A boy at school told me that he never knew black people in their own... A boy at school told me that he never knew black people had their own lake houses and didn't believe me when I said you had one. He still thought I was making it up. I can't wait to show him photos of this place when I get back home. I take another bite out of my corn on the cob, trying to stay silent, but the crunch is too loud. I glare at Owen, trying to get him to stop talking about swimming in water, but once he gets started, he can't be stopped. He's still blabbering. He said it doesn't make sense for us to have our own lake houses because most black people can't swim. And that's when he looks up at me and gives me an apologetic smile. Too late now, Owen. I continue eating my corn on the cob. Granddad takes a bite of chicken and wipes his mouth off with a napkin. Ooh, fancy. He looks straight at Owen. You tell that fellow to learn his history. There's a reason a lot of people there's a reason a lot of black people don't know how to swim. There was a time when black people weren't even allowed in public pools. Do you know the famous actor Dorothy Dinklage? Owen shakes his head. name I cannot pronounce shrugs with a frown, and Daisy gasps. Oh, I love her, she says. She's so quiet. I almost forgot she's here. She was a legendary entertainer, and legend has it that an entire pool was drained at a Las Vegas hotel that she was supposed to perform at because she stuck her toe in it. Can you imagine? So black people can't swim because they wouldn't let the the stick her foot in a pool at a hotel. The name I cannot pronounce, asked, still frowning. I stare at her. I won't, I won't, I wouldn't, I wouldn't want, I wouldn't, would, I wonder what her problem is. She acts tough, but I can tell she really wants to know. It's more than that, Grandma says. Once Dr. King was arrested for entering a restaurant at a motel, peaceful presidents decided to wade into the motel pool to support him. Do you know that the pool owner prize poured acid in the pool while the prawns were inside it? She shakes her head. On's eyes are wide. I know he can't wait to tell his friends this later. When my sister and I were younger, so many pools had whites only signs for them. Grandma continues. How could we possibly learn to swim if we tried at all? We had to swim in rivers that could be dangerous. Years of not being allowed in pools or having the police being called on us for simply being in a pool, we really had the opportunity to learn. So we weren't able to pass the knowledge or the simple joy of having fun in the water on the weekends. To our kids, all we could pass was the fear of water or getting in trouble for something we just wanted to enjoy. So your classmate was right in a way that many black people can't swim. But it's important that you know why and that we work to change that. After Ellie, she stops, looks at Granddad, and sticks her foot into her macaroni and cheese. The sudden pause makes all of us look up, including the name I can pronounce. Ellie? The name I cannot pronounce, asked. Your great Aunt Ellie, Grandpa says. Oh, I say, that's who I'm named after, my full name. Is Kelsey Annie Cooper. I love my name because it's fun to draw lots of swirls around the C's and the E's. My great aunt was named nope. I know that everyone called her Ellie for short, but I don't know. I don't have a nickname. I'm just Quetzal. 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 I'm reminded again about the swimming extra. Always getting my name wrong, then asking me to jump in the pool. How could I trust someone to catch me when they wouldn't even pronounce my name right? What about Great Aunt Ellie? Owen asked. Nothing, baby, Grandma said. Grandma shakes her head. I know she died when Grandma was younger. I guess it still hurts for her to talk about her. Your grandmother wanted to make it to her duty to get her entire family swimming. Granddad continues. That's how we met you know. I was a lifeguard at a local community pool and she came to learn love at first swim. They exchange a smile. I'm still eating all this good food, but I can't help but feel a little guilty. All grandma's ever wanted is for her grandchildren to learn how to swim, and I am here, failing a swimming lessons. You look just like her, you know that? Grandma says. I look up and she's staring right at me. Me? I glance at Owen and he shrugs. Grandma is still staring at me and I don't know what to say. I never seen a picture of Great Aunt Ellie before, so I don't know if I really look like her. People say I look like Owen, but only the same eyes, Mom's hazel brown eyes. Otherwise, I don't see it. It's like Grandma reads my mind because she asks if I like to see a picture of her. I bring out the photo album after dinner. Grandma says she wipes her mouth with a napkin and smiles. She's the reason your grandfather built this place for me. As the conversation moves on, I finish my food. I'm stuffed and ready for the first night in my new bed. Grandma puts a sweet potato pie on the table for dessert, but I don't know if I can eat a bite more. Owen, of course, takes a piece and puts it on one of the small dishes Grandma brought out. Grandma disappears and comes back with a big black book. She wipes some crumbs off the table before she gently places it down. Granddad steps behind Grandma and looks over her shoulder. Daisy. Daisy scoots her chair closer to the table and the name I cannot pronounce leans in. We flip through some pictures I've seen copies of before, of my mom and aunties and uncles running around under fire hydrants, playing in the pool, diving off the diving board, fishing and smiling in cane off. Grandma smiles really big, looks at me and hands me the photo album. There she is, my big sister, Kriston. She says, have a look. I look, ready to say something polite about how pretty she is or how nice she probably was. But when I see the picture, I scream. My heart beats fast and I hear Owen yell. Daisy squeal and even a name I cannot pronounce, gas. I'm looking at a picture of myself. Well, that's it for chapter 2. Yeah. If you want to if you want me to keep doing this, just please give me a heads up because I love reading. I'm happy to do this. So yeah, bye guys.